What's up, everybody? If you're a photographer or a DP, I'm about to change your life. I have been using this software, Satellite 3D, for years now and have purposely not tried to mention it at all because I literally didn't want anybody to know about it. I felt like I held some sort of secret power that only a small group of the elite held, and that is being able to previs lighting in a 3D environment from my computer when I'm laying in bed. So when you open the software, this is what you'll see. We will start with a large room. We have two windows here. One is your image from your camera and one is the 3D environment. This is a list of your items that are in the scene, and down here are all the items that you can add to the scene, including lights, models, strobes, continuous lights, diffusion and bounces, and props. So in the settings, I would recommend to match what I have here. You can go metric or imperial, that is up to you, but laser pointer is good. I'll show you what that means. Lens flare, quality settings, max all the way on everything. When we're looking at these two screens, I usually adjust the sizes, and if you click T, it switches them. I do have a mouse with 3 buttons. If you have that middle scroll wheel, you can easily move around like this. But on the MacBook, if I click 2 fingers down, I can rotate around like this. If I scroll, I can move in and out like that. I can drag on this and it moves me left and right, or up or down, or you can just drag on this without having to use 2 fingers and it orbits. This you can click and hold and zoom up and down, and this will just bring you back kind of to the original starting point. So first things first, I'm going to change our camera. Click on the camera and I'm going to click film. We'll do full frame. I am kind of becoming a 2:1 guy lately. Let's go 40 to 150. To change your focal length, you can scroll here, you can scroll here, or I could just type in 135. 180 degree shutters, ISO 800. I'll go to a 5.6. The other thing I'm going to do is rotate the camera to be horizontal by clicking this button right here. And anything that you select is what will show your settings over here. This target locks on to wherever it's pointed. This rotates it towards the model. And this on the camera and any lights gets rid of the stand, which is nice if you are going to be hanging lights. I'm going to remove everything, and we will see that in our image here, we have no lights, so we can't see anything. In the studio light, this is just for your viewing and does not affect the image at all. I am going to make this room a little bit bigger, 50 by 50. And we'll keep the ceilings the same. I am going to make the floor a brown color, and we'll make the ceiling black. Maybe I'll make the floor gray. So I'm gonna move the camera back. I'll add a model. We're gonna be working in continuous light here, but there are speed lights and mono lights. And the good thing about this is that they are actual lights. So if you wanna see, like if a Sky Panel 60, for example, at full power, 30 feet away is gonna give you enough exposure, you can get a good understanding of that in this software because there are actual lights that exist in real life in here. Great way to previs for shoots, rapidly experiment with different lighting setups, and utilize it in real life just how I utilized it in the software. I usually throw a Sky Panel in there so I can just see what the camera is seeing. When you click the model, there's a few controls for rotation and moving up and down. To move the camera, you hover over, and if your mouse is over right here, you can move it around like this. If your mouse is over this, it raises it and lowers it. And if you move on here, you can pan and tilt. And the same goes for hovering over lights. So I'm gonna put this back to where it was. If you hit enter, it grabs a still that you can then render out, or you can apply it to the stage. So if I move the camera over here and can't get it back, I can just double click this, discard my new move, and it's back. When you move the light, if the target is selected, it will stay pointed at the model. You can see the laser here. If I wanted to move this, you can see the laser moving around, so I can point it exactly where I want. And if it gets all out of whack, I can just hit this and it points back at the model. If I were to want to move it without staying locked onto the model, I can select this and it does not stay locked on. In our focus area right here, I'm gonna drag the focus to her eye, and I'm gonna turn this off for now so it's easier to see. I'm gonna move this light back and point it at her and turn it down a little bit. If we were to go wider, her arms are a little weird, yeah? If we click on the model and click P, we are in posing mode. So I can take her hand and move it down. Then if you click up here, you can have a finer control. So I don't want her hand sticking out like that. So I'll click on her hand and rotate it down. Click on this hand, rotate it, and then I'll hit P to get out of the posing mode. I will go to style, and I want to zoom back in a little bit, bring the camera up, point it at her, back to 135. Let's get a little more interesting with this. I am going to move this light back here. I'm going to point this at her, turn it up, and move this around. It's a little hard, so I'm going to put diffusion in. When you grab any type of lighting, it will be facing the talent. So I'm going to put this here, soften it up a little bit, and I want to make sure that it's in a good spot. And I kind of just landed already in a good spot, but when you move this, it becomes kind of like the light source, so you can aim it around. I like where the light is coming from. Let's just see what a reflector does. I'm going to put a reflector right here, and I'm going to bounce a 300D into it. I'll turn up our studio light so we can see better. And I'm just going to rotate this around until it hits her, which it's hitting her. I'm going to back this off until a lot of it is filled. I will then turn this down, and I will put another 300D for more of a fashion look. Let's see if I just want to see just what this 300D is doing. I can hit S, and it will solo the light. So I'm going to turn it down, and something like that is good. I am then going to, which I do in real life, raise and lower this until the eye light is in the spot that I want, which is a little bit above the middle of the pupil. So this light is currently soloed, so I will unsolo it so the other lights go on, and we have the beginning of something that is looking pretty nice in my opinion. I'll save this look, and I'll raise the camera up just a touch, and I'll make sure our focus is still on her. That's a pretty good eyeball in the line of thirds, even though I rarely, if ever, follow that rule. So now I'll go to this and solo this and see what it's doing. So it's giving her a lot of light. I want this to look lively and bright. We'll put an M18 behind her, and I'm gonna raise it up out of the frame, back a little bit more towards this one, and I'm gonna solo it and turn it down. Maybe something like that's good. So I'm going to save this, and we can see with this light off and on, it gives like a little bit of definition here. I'm going to change this to yellow. These are actual Colorama or Savage seamless background colors. So let's try sand, maybe marmalade. That's too much. Lemonade maybe. And now I think that the background needs some light. So I'm going to hold Alt and just drag this, and I'll point this to the background. It's pretty bright, so I'm going to bring it down, save that, and then see what it looks like if we bring down our exposure in the camera. So I'm going to add one stop of ND. That's looking pretty good. I like when this happens because it kind of seems like it's natural real life. So I kind of want like a little more of that happening here. Let's just get a little crazy. I want a small light, so I'm going to use a tube light. I mean, that doesn't look too bad. Take a frame grab of this with the light off, and then I'll turn it on, and then I'll go over to view and just see the difference. So this is giving me somewhat of what I want, but I kind of just want it to be like right here, a blocker, in an attempt to basically make it like gaff tape. So I'll make it 1 foot by 2 feet, put this here. And another thing you can do if I want to position this in the exact right spot, I can go to top view and zoom in and get this blocker, aka gaff tape, right where I want it. And then I'm going to raise it up, Alt or Option, take another one, lower it down, bring these a little closer. And this is kind of stepping. When I want it to be more exact, I will just fine tune it over here. And I'm just gonna add another one of these. So now we have this little bit more right here. Hit enter. This is with them off, and this is with it on. It's kind of nice, in my opinion, when there's like multiple things happening. It makes it look a little more real world. I'm gonna favorite this. One other cool thing that we could do is I'll grab another 300D and I'll solo it. I'll put on the Fresnel, and let's just say we want to shoot a T16. And I'll raise up. And what this says to me, a really quick right off the bat, shooting at 180 degree shutter, ISO 800, and at a T16 with the aperture at 100% will definitely give me enough exposure. So like that alone is valuable for me. A softbox at 100 at a T16 might not be enough exposure. To be able to rotate the light around and see what it does without having to actually do it is very nice. And in your view, I can hit render, open picture directory, and we can see the shot right here. There's one final step that I do that I'll show you in a minute once we do a few more shots, but that's where the shot is. And we will go back here in the export. I can see more information here, behind the scenes, the actual image, what stuff is being used here. Draw a line from like the diffusion to her. That's how far away it is. And you can export these in different orientations. I am going to remove everything. I'm going to lightly recreate the scene that I'm in before I extended the background, which I get into in my previous video if you want to get into that. I'm not in a 50-foot by 50-foot room, but I'm going to keep the room large so that I can build a set around it. And I start building the walls with a box because everything is made from a bunch of boxes. Am I right? I'll uncheck this link right here and I'll make it 1 foot, the height 10 feet, the width 20 feet. And let's just make the wall 1/2 foot. There's a hallway here and the kitchen is here, and there's another wall here and a wall right here. Now I'm going to take another piece and rotate it 90 degrees and put this right here, another one right here. I'm going to move this wall. So this is more representative of the area that I am in. So we will put this right here. We can make it brown. So I will then add a model. Maybe this works because I'm wearing a gray shirt, and I will change the shirt to be gray. And I guess I am kind of sitting like this. I'm going to hit posing mode, get his feet out, and then we should be able to lower him, rotate his shoulder down, move him over a little bit. Rotate. So I don't want to see the ceiling, just so I can be sure. I'm going to make the ceiling red. It's pretty close. I need to move everything closer to the wall. And one way we can do this is to select and hold command. Let's see what this looks like. Mirror it. And I'm just going to increase the overall size of everything. And I'm just going to pan us a little. And the color is white. And this is more brown. Let's go for an early morning vibe. I am going to grab a M18 and move it as far as I can over here. Sunlight coming in through the side. I was wondering this whole time, why is this red? And it is because we made the ceiling red. I was honestly thinking it was bouncing off the table, but I'm gonna make the ceiling white because the ceiling is white in here. Now we're back to something normal. And let's bring up the intensity of this light a little bit. Add a laptop, fine tune its height right here. Rotate this around and move the laptop closer to me. Let's see what a light coming from over here, like if there was another room over here, would look like. I'm gonna grab a 600X. When I'm moving it around in here, it's nice because I'm looking at 3 different screens here. I can see it here, but I want it behind this wall. So now I can't see it in the screen on the left, and I can't see it on the screen on the right, but I can see it in the overhead. So I am going to put this right here and make this point at this wall, like there's something happening over here. And I'm going to change this to be warm and turn it down. So I'm going to get rid of the M18, and maybe there's a hanging lamp above him. And if you look in the screen in the bottom right, I'm going to get it right over the middle of the table. And then maybe a 300X will do. Raise it up, get rid of the stand, solo it, lantern, and I will turn it to warm. This wall is too bright, so I am going to get a light blocker, and I'm looking at the screen on the bottom right now to get it right in line with that lantern. I can zoom it in here. You can see it's right in line. And I'm gonna rotate this, raise it up out of the way. That's how the wall was. With a kind of makeshift skirt, we have that off of the wall a little bit. So I'm gonna unsolo this. Maybe he's getting some intense light from the laptop. So I'm gonna put this in the scene. And again, I'm looking in the bottom right. I'm gonna put it right on the laptop, remove the stand, zoom in here, lower and lower this intensity. This is looking nice. It's a little too orange. So I am going to add some daylight in here and give him a little bit of an edge. So I'm gonna grab a T5, and similar to the first shot we did, I kind of want it just glowing his face a little bit. And I'm gonna add a full CTV blue, solo this, then unsolo it. I'll save this frame, and we can see with this light on and off. And I'm just gonna turn this down a touch. And I might add another gel, but for this scenario, I'm just going to cool it down a little bit here. And I feel like this light right here is also getting too much here. So again, we need the skirt, but I'm just gonna take this helper, move it right here. It's pretty good actually. Unsolo this and maybe back it off just a touch. I want a little tiny bit more separation in the background. So let's see what a 2.8 is. And then I'm gonna add 2 more stops of ND to get back to where we were. A 9, which is an additional 2 stops. So I'm gonna render this shot. And that is looking pretty good to me. I would at this point ship this and know that we would need to deal with this a little bit. Maybe we don't need that exact light that's over there, and maybe we'll make some tweaks, but this is a good indication for me of like what I might need. So to accomplish both of those shots, specifically the kitchen shot, would have been really tough and taken a long time to do if you just were experimenting when you arrived to set. To be able to move things around so freely and so quickly in this software is so important and so valuable so that you can know exactly the items you need and arrive on set completely prepared. So there's one more step that I do to improve the look of the images, especially when I'm sending them to the client. I will bring them into Resolve and grade them, and I will do it with Dehancer. These images will come off in Rec 709. They could have some artifacts. His shirt looks a little weird. And to kind of like reduce that down a little bit, I will throw on Dehancer and I'll turn off the film profile. And then I will go to print, Kodak 2383, put the quality to high, and then grain down just a little bit. So this is from the software. This is with Dehancer. Kind of makes it look a little more real to me. Also, a lot of images from 3D software have a little bit of grain to them, so this kind of makes it look a little more professional. I might just lower the output just a little bit. And let's just say I was a little hot on the exposure. Maybe I'll bring down the gain just a touch off the software and from Resolve, and I'll save this look and apply it to this. Maybe it needs to come up in the gamma a touch, down in the gain a little, and it looks a little too warm and saturated, so I might just cool it off a little and take down some of the saturation. So we go from this to this. This quick move with Dehancer makes this look a billion times better, and I love Dehancer, and I made a full video about it. I'll link it below. The last thing that we can look at, which is pretty awesome, is the community tab. So I have this other project. This is a nice lighting that I landed on. Pretty simple. A sky panel through diffusion. So what you can do in the community is select categories. So let's see, let's go to commercial and filter that. So you can scroll through here, see some other things that people have created and get a good inspiration. I can view this, I can see the behind the scenes, and I can download the lighting setup. And now this is in my scene and I can see exactly what they did, make tweaks. So this is really incredible. And the more people that use this, the more insights you can grab from other people's work in the community tab. All right, that's it. If you're interested in either one of these softwares, check the description for a little gift from me to you. Peace.